I want you to look around your room right now. Look at those $200 running shoes sitting by the door that you've worn exactly twice. Look at the expensive layout software you subscribed to before even finishing your 3-month basic graphic design course. Look at the $300 cold press juicer gathering dust on your kitchen counter. You didn't buy those things because the current version of you actually needed them. You bought them for someone else. You bought them for your fantasy self. Your fantasy self is amazing. They wake up at 5 a.m. without hitting snooze, run 5 miles, drink celery juice, and spend their weekends perfectly arranging their creative portfolio on a massive A1-sized grid. Your fantasy self is disciplined, athletic, and incredibly productive. There is only one massive problem. That person does not exist. You exist. And right now, the real you, the one who hits snooze 3 times and orders takeout on a Tuesday, is working 40 hours a week to finance the lifestyle of a fictional character living inside your head. My name is Max, and today we are going to talk about the most expensive, invisible drain on your bank account. It isn't inflation, it isn't taxes. It is the money you voluntarily hemorrhage every single month to buy the feeling of progress without actually doing the work. Welcome to the Fantasy Self-Tax. And if you want to stop going broke for a version of yourself that doesn't exist, hit that subscribe button because we are about to kill the illusion. Let's talk about the biology of a bad purchase. Why do we keep doing this? Why do smart people keep buying expensive solutions to problems they haven't even started solving yet? It all comes down to a chemical loophole in your brain. When you set an ambitious goal like starting a new YouTube channel about finance or learning how to animate your own main character, your brain desperately craves the dopamine reward of achieving that goal. But achieving things is hard. It takes months of struggling, writing bad scripts, and learning complicated software. Buying things, however, is incredibly easy. When you swipe your credit card for a $300 annual subscription to a premium animation tool or you buy access to the latest AI video generator, your brain releases the exact same spike of dopamine as if you had actually finished the project. Your brain cannot tell the difference between the friction of preparation and the friction of progress. It just registers that you took action toward your goal. So you just spent $300 to buy the feeling of being a successful creator without ever having to face the terrifying reality of uploading a terrible first video. You aren't investing in your future, you are paying a premium just to procrastinate. Nowhere is this tax higher than in the creative industry. There is actually a clinical sounding name for this, gear acquisition syndrome, or G.A.S. Let's say you decide to finally launch that YouTube channel. You have a brilliant idea to make high-quality, cinematic science videos about the animal kingdom for an international audience. It's a fantastic goal, but instead of sitting down to write your first script about a lion or a jellyfish, what do? You convince your brain that you cannot possibly start without a $2,500 MacBook Pro. You tell yourself you need a $400 Shure microphone because your voiceover has to sound exactly like a professional documentary narrator. You start buying expensive credits for high-end AI video generators like Veo to get that perfect cinematic animal footage. You spend 3 straight weeks obsessing over the color palette of your thumbnail designs. A month goes by, you have spent $3,000, you have arranged the perfect desk setup, and you have produced exactly 0 videos. Why? Because as long as you are setting up the studio or researching equipment, you feel like a creator. But more importantly, as long as you are just preparing, you don't have to face the terrifying reality of hitting publish and getting exactly 12 views. The expensive gear isn't a tool, it is a very expensive shield against the fear of failure. You are using your credit card to delay the uncomfortable process of being a beginner. But maybe you aren't a creator. Maybe your fantasy self is just incredibly organized. This brings us to the aesthetic lifestyle toll. You scroll through social media and you see that girl or that guy aesthetic. Their life looks flawless. So you decide it is time to finally get your life together. But instead of just cleaning your room or writing a simple to-do list, you go shopping.
You buy a $50 leather-bound productivity planner, even though Google Calendar is completely free. You buy a set of 24 matching glass jars just to hold your rice and pasta. You buy premium, color-coordinated workout gear because your fantasy self obviously does Pilates at 6 a.m. You are treating your daily routine like a curated typography exhibition poster. Everything has to be perfectly aligned, color-coded, and visually stunning before you can actually start living. But here's the hard truth. Buying an aesthetic water bottle does not hydrate you. Buying a beautiful planner does not make you disciplined. You are spending money to look like someone who has their life together instead of doing the boring, free, and unglamorous work of actually getting your life together. Let's actually do the math on this alternate reality. How much is the fantasy self-tax really costing you every single year? It's easy to ignore when it's just a swipe here and a subscription there, but the math is brutal. Let's add it up. There's the $300 advanced animation course you bought to finally animate that main character for your new finance channel, which you watched exactly 2 modules of. There's the $600 annual gym membership you keep paying for because canceling it feels like admitting defeat. Then there's the gear and the aesthetic upgrades, the $1,500 you dropped on camera equipment and premium software just in case you need them. And let's not forget the smaller cuts, $200 spent on premium PowerPoint templates and high-end A4 booklet printing services for a portfolio you are still endlessly tweaking instead of actually sending to clients. Add that all up. That's $2,600. That's over $2,000 stolen from your actual bank account to fund a parallel universe. Think about the absolute insanity of this dynamic. Your real self is commuting, working 40 hours a week and stressing over the bills just to pay the living expenses of a fictional character who doesn't even pay rent. You're literally subsidizing a ghost.
So, how do we stop subsidizing this ghost? How do we fire the fantasy self? You do it by implementing what I call the Earn Your Upgrades protocol. Rule number 1 of this protocol is simple. Do it poorly first. We use expensive gear as an excuse to avoid starting, so you remove the excuse. You are no longer allowed to buy the professional tools until you have proven your consistency with the amateur ones. If you're putting together a graphic design portfolio, do not buy the $500 industry standard layout software. Sketch your Be-Home branding concept or that Dayundang book cover on a 50-cent notepad first. Arrange it on a free basic PowerPoint presentation. If you cannot consistently work on your designs using free tools for 30 days straight, buying a faster computer is not going to magically give you discipline. If you want to be a runner, you don't buy the $200 carbon-plated shoes. You run in your beat-up sneakers for a month. If you survive, you earn the upgrade. Stop buying the feeling of having done the work. The dopamine hit you get at the checkout counter is a lie. The only dopamine that actually builds wealth, builds skills, and builds a real life is the kind you earn through friction and sweat. Stop financing the person you wish you were and start investing in the person you actually are. My name's Max. If you were ready to stop falling for psychological money traps and start building actual wealth, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.